Good evening and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a special edition of the latest PSX. I'm your host, Mr. Alex Sylvester, and with me, as always, it's Mr. Soli Sangira. How you doing, mate?
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. And we have a special guest in the building, Mr. Asim. We need to get you like an intro theme or something whenever you're on.
That'd be nice. No,
How you doing, Asim? You good?
Yeah, good. Pleasure to be back on with you guys and talk 2021 and video games. I'm really excited.
Yeah, we're going to roll into it today. It's going to be a nice one. We're going to be going right into our most anticipated games for 2022, as well as touching on some of the best and worst games of 2021. So it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys make sure you like, share, and subscribe whenever you get this podcast. You can get to us on Twitter at the Latest PS5 and by email, latestps5@gmail.com. So diving right into it, the most anticipated games for 2022. So I'm going to start off with number 5, and my number 5 is yeah, you guys are going to hate me, innit? But it's it's a Nintendo classic.
No, I don't mind. I thought when you said you're going to hate me and you're going to put Horizon at number 5, I'm like, I'm not just going to end the fucking video call. I'm just going to end it.
I was thinking that, just to be sure. The worst game I'm looking forward to. All right, okay. Anticipated game, Mario Odyssey. There's only been rumors, but apparently Mario Odyssey 2 is coming out next year. So that's what my number 5 is going to be. I should have been a bit higher, but I'm just not too sure whether they're actually going to make it because obviously there's a whole load of situations happening in the world right now, which we don't need to dive into, but that's my number 5.
So what you're doing is fucking cheating right now, yeah? By just
I'm cheating.
Yeah. I said
no.
game. Listeners, I said
it's confirmed. It's going to happen. Breath of the Wild 2, like Mario came out the same year. It's like, come on. They go hand in hand.
They kind of stealth announced Metroid, didn't it? You know, they might stealth announce Mario and just
exactly.
Later, so.
Yeah, man. You don't know what the Nintendo ninjas are up to, man. So that's my number 5. And obviously the first one was an amazing game.
They're up to stealing consumers' money. That's what they're up to. You know what I mean? They're like Sony and Nintendo. Sony and Nintendo went to the same ninja dojo to take money from people.
That's exactly what. Hold on, remember, it was Nintendo who taught Sony how to do it, remember?
That's it.
Yeah, that's number 5. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Asim. What's your number 5 today?
My number 5, I was torn, but it's because it's been a while since we had a proper Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo 7 is at my number 5. We've had obviously Sport, and that had like a rocky start, but obviously it's built up into a fully fledged game now, and it seems to have quite the community behind it. You just need to go to like GT Planet and places like that to see there's people playing it regularly. The community is quite big, but we did a proper GT7, and I think this will there's been games that showcase the PS5 is power already, but a Gran Turismo is like what PlayStation is about, right? That's usually with the first PlayStation that came out, that showcased the power. PS2 it showcased the power. Even PS3 it showcased the power with GT on there as well. So PS5 Gran Turismo 7, I'm looking forward to it. It's probably going to have some weird stuff in it because he always I forgot the guy's name. What's his name? Who makes GT? Okay, Kaz. He has the weird things he does in the game usually, but I'm looking forward to all the oddities in it as well that he puts in. But just looking forward to having a fully fledged Gran Turismo back. So that takes my number 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I'm looking forward to. I said it a few weeks ago, Alex, didn't I? I really want a sim GT game in my life where you're collecting cars and all that stuff, and I'm so excited. Everything about Asim said, but also I just want to see what they do with the controller and the 3D audio. You know what I mean? It's good. Like he was already talking about like the fact that they've got the brake pressure onto the triggers. I'm like, oh, what? I can't believe it. You know what I mean?
The amount of detail they're going into it.
But
awesome.
Going on from Asim then, so we'll just keep rolling it around, So my number 5. It's changed. I've been thinking about it long and hard, and obviously I was like, right, I want to get this right. I was going through, I had like 15 games, narrowed it down to 10, and then narrowed it down to 7, then 6, and then I was deliberating. I couldn't go back. But my number 5 is Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. From Rocksteady. It's obviously in the WB financials that it's in for 2022. It could and most likely probably will slip to late 2022, possibly even 2023. But at the moment, it's 2022. And it's, you know, I mean, if anyone who's played the Arkham games from Rocksteady or Batman VR, they know the gameplay they're going to get. It's going to be solid, unless it's in a Batmobile. They know it's just a unique take on it, you know what I mean? And now that we've got the story trailer, that really intrigued me a lot more, because I kept thinking, how are you going to fight the Justice League? But now that story trailer that came out at the Game Awards really put context to what we've already seen, and now I'm just stupidly excited about it. So number 5, Suicide Squad kills the Justice League for me.
Good choice.
That's nice. All right. We'll dive into number 4, the most anticipated games of 2022. I'm going to throw Sifu in there. This game is from its announcement. I mean, the whole concept alone is just brilliant. You know, the fact that you're this martial artist. I'm not sure exactly what style he's actually using, but the fact is that whenever you die, you age. I'm not sure exactly what the time's going to be, but just that concept alone. And the fact that whenever you do die, you do get older, but you also develop more experience, which is what I'm sure I heard from the developers. I'm just curious to see how they're actually going to make that work, especially if you're like a newbie. You know, if you don't have, even if you haven't even mastered any of the skills yet, how they're actually going to incorporate that into the game. But just the concept alone, I think it's brilliant. And to be honest, it should be. I'm hoping it's going to be in one of the Game of the Year categories for next year, because I just think it needs to be there. We don't often get games which are this innovative, and fighting games, obviously that's my jam. I love them. If they could make this into they could make this into a multiplayer, you know, your ass would be white all over that HD screen of yours in 4K. So that's my number 4, Sifu.
Can I just say though as well, a lot of media outlets have had previews of Sifu now over the last few weeks, and nothing but positivity, talking about innovation, talking about the combat. Can I just say, and I'm going to say it now, there's going to be some bitch trophy to finish the game at the youngest age, which means you go for the whole game at that age, right? You know it's going to be in there, right? It's like, what? But
definitely.
It sounds amazing. I'm so excited for that game.
It does, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. I mean, February
before we go to Asim, seeing as my mouth's open, I'll carry on talking. Asim, we'll go to your number 4 in a minute. Number 4 for me, it would have been higher, but again, I took my time to think about it. It's the announcement of Telltale's The Expanse game from the TV show. Everybody who listens to this show knows I love space. I get a boner for space. I've been all James Webb Telescope over the last week.
Turn off the webcam now,
you know please. So when they announced The Expanse, I spat my tea out. That was the biggest moment of the Game Awards for me, was that announcement, you know. But the big exciting thing is it's being co-developed by Telltale and Deck 9, who just did True Colors, which is Life is Strange. So the old gang sort of kind of all getting back together in a way to make this game. And if you love space and you know what Telltale's all about, then you know this is going to be stunning. And the fact that they've got the actors from the TV show to voice certain characters in the game makes it just a lot more authentic. So for my number 4, it's the Expanse game from the Telltale series. Now to you, Asim, what was your number 4?
I mean, cutting it down to 5 means that you're putting out some big games. Like you mentioned Suicide Squad, so I mean I'm looking forward to that, so I won't mention that because you mentioned it. So I'll mention something different. Because it's kind of like almost, because we haven't got a date for Dead Space, but there was another game that was announced this year called the Callisto Protocol. This was from the actual team, kind of the group behind PUBG, but they're going, it's set in the PUBG universe, but it's a survival horror. And it's actually, I think it's headed up by one of the guys that was behind Dead Space, as far as I remember.
Oh, nice.
So looking forward to that. We haven't seen anything apart from that trailer that was revealed when it was announced. And it is penciled in for 2022. I'm hoping it stays 2022 and we get, because I've got a feeling Dead Space might be 2023 most likely, because it's a full-on remake, right? So Callisto Protocol, because I'm a huge proper survival horror fan. The trailer looked good, and I just can't wait to see more of it. So hopefully if there's a showcase early year, we get to see more of this particular game. So that's my number 4.
Fingers crossed. All right, then jumping on to number 3. Okay, these are the big heavy hitters now, which are going to be taking the Game Awards, I'm sure, by storm this time next year, or just before. And at number 3 for me, It's going to be God of War. God of War Ragnarok. Obviously coming off the remake, which was in 2018 when it came out.
2018, yeah.
2018, yeah. So granted, I haven't completed the game completely. Like, I haven't, you know this, right? That's another one which I'll be slugging through. I'll be playing to death, from corner to corner. The same way I did with Breath of the Wild. I mean, I played that game to death. You know, I did it with Mario Odyssey. I've done it with so many other games, and obviously I'm doing it with Forbidden West at the moment. But yeah, God of War Ragnarok. It would have been higher had I completed the original game, but just the anticipation alone has got me hyped. Yeah, so that's why it's at my number 3. And I know it's going to piss you off right now.
Sonny's reactions are amazing.
And he's like, what? That's my number 1, man.
Listeners, if you're not watching the video version, I just want to apologize for Alex's verbal behavior. He's not finished God of War. He's not finished God of War. He's not finished God of War. So when he says anything about Nintendo, you know how much weight it holds. He hasn't finished God of War. So until he finishes God of War, there's no weight to it.
Like I said, check out Japan's top 100 games. But anyway,
well, I'm
number 3.
I'm going to cheat Asim because the NVIDIA leak, which happened, you know, the GeForce leak that leaked tons of games for the next like 2 to 4 years. And they said it wasn't real, but so far everything that's released has been coincided with that NVIDIA leak. Had Dead Space for autumn 2022, so I'm going to take that leak as an official confirmation.
Take it.
So my number 3 is the Dead Space remake from Motive Studios. Asim said it. He talked about the horror aspect of the Callisto Protocol. It's the same thing about Dead Space. To me, to this day, with the exception of PT, it's still the scariest game and the most tense game I've played. It's in space, so it's an added bonus for me. But the remake just looks stunning. You know what I mean? You cannot F this up. It's the most linear game you can probably get. So if you mess this up in any aspect of technical prowess, then you're rubbish as a developer. So I've got high hopes for Dead Space, and it was a very, very smart move by EA to announce it and then do that let the developers talk about the game, show a little bit off, show what some of the enemies are like, just to ease everybody's worries, because this game has lofty expectations going for it. So for me, Dead Space is my number 3. Asim, what's yours? You're trying to cheat now, aren't you? You're like, what can I fucking cheat on? These two are cheaters.
No.
That was going to be mine.
No, I had my list. Gotham Knights is my number 3. I know it's not Rocksteady, it's Warner Brothers Montreal, the guys who kind of did Batman Arkham Origins. You know, it was still pretty good. It wasn't the mainline series, it wasn't the main developer, but what they're doing with this, you know, you don't, as far as we know, you don't play as Batman. Like, you're playing as the other characters like Robin, Nightwing, etc., Batgirl. But the fact that it's single, you can play it single player or you can play it co-op, up to 4 players, kind of drop in, drop out, is really cool. And from the trailers and we saw a really big gameplay trailer, I think, last time we saw it. The gameplay looks slick. So they've been working on it for a while. So I'm hoping it's a bit more polished than Batman Arkham Origins. And yeah, just because as Sonny knows, I'm a huge Batman fan, just because of that. And the history with the series, it's on my list as number 3, Gotham Knights.
Nice. Yeah, dude. I mean, any Batman game on the list is going to be there because they're both going to be amazing when they come out, and they're going to both be very similar. So it'll be really interesting. But Alex, your runner up, and I've got your 2 games are literally identical. I think you're number 1 and 2, aren't they? So either one wins.
Yeah, that's the thing. All right, well, with mine, obviously, you know, I'm a Nintendo fan, so I've got to pay homage to them and shout them out because they are the greatest game company in the world. Sony, I love your face. Anyway, so we're going to be diving over to Breath of the Wild 2, which is just been rumored that it should be coming out. Actually, they've kind of said that it's going to be coming out in 2022, but
please forgive us. Please bear with us.
Yeah, there's always
what's the Japanese?
They could cancel whole production and then say, "Oh yeah, it's going to be pushed back to 2024."
I'm sorry about that. Please be excited. Please be excited.
Yeah. So Breath of the Wild, the first game came out 2017. It helped the launch of the Switch. It was a fantastic game. I played that game to death. I'm sure a lot of people did. It's like a lot of people's favorite game of all time, and it's definitely deservedly so. And that the Japan's top was it 1,000 games, top 100 games, it actually topped the charts as being the greatest game of all time. So the sequel, no doubt, is just going to top that eventually when it comes out. So I'm really looking forward to see what they're going to do with it. Nintendo's really innovative, and I love innovative games. Don't just like sequels for the sake of sequels. Do something special, and I believe that Nintendo's got the gumption to do something to break our minds, and then for a whole load of other developers to start ripping off all of their ideas, right? So, yeah, Breath of the Wild is my number 2. Over to you.
Asim, what is your runner-up?
My runner-up is Horizon Forbidden West. Obviously, I mean, I've tried to keep this list as PlayStation focused as possible because you're on a PlayStation podcast. So Horizon Forbidden West. I mean, I know it's out like mid-February, so it's like early part of the year. I mean, don't we just need to say too much? Like Horizon, like the first game is absolutely incredible. Still remains incredible after all the updates as well. You know, it's playable on PS5 now as well. Looks all shiny, runs great as well. Yeah, and like from the, I'm trying to keep away from a little bit now from Horizon just because it's coming out early next year. So like I know they released all the blogs and stuff, and they've got lots of details about the world and like the universe and the characters, etc. So I'll try to stay away from that. So the last thing I saw properly was the gameplay stuff, which was astonishing. That was like a proper jaw drop moment.
The Cobra or whatever, that one looked freaking amazing.
It was incredibly like it was like, wow, I'm gonna play this. So just for that, just because of how much I love the like, this might piss you off, Alex, but yeah, I remember the first Horizon came out at the same time as Breath of the Wild. And the launch of the Switch, I actually preferred playing Horizon.
Oh my gosh! Okay, so we've lost Asim. Disconnected.
So that speaks volumes about how like Breath of the Wild is.
You're slipping, man.
Breath of the Wild is a great game, but
greatest game. You forgot the last 4 letters. Yeah, greatest.
For some reason, I was just drawn to Horizon in the world. It's like. And like hunting the kind of the creatures within it as well, and just like exploring the world, finding out the lore. So yeah, just the sequel looks incredible. So that's why it's my number 2.
Oh, I'm sticking with you on that game, Horizon Forbidden West. But what makes it really interesting is when you read a lot of magazines and websites when both these games were being reviewed, it was the same critique for both games. Zelda's missing elements that Horizon does well. Horizon's missing elements that Zelda does well. We wish we could mesh the game together to create the greatest game, and I think Breath of the Wild 2 and Horizon will take things from each game, the competing game, so I think either game, we're both going to be, everybody who plays both are going to be spoiled rotten. But you mentioned the gameplay, the visuals, I don't have to even think about them because they were jaw-dropping, they were stunning, it's open world. But what really excites me about Forbidden West and why it's number 2 on my list is, and Alex will know this, is I just love the types of enemies in the game and the combat in Horizon. The fact when you fight a mech and you just whoop its ass with speed, and now you're adding flight to it in this game, like where she's flying around. I was just like, Alex, you spoke, and everyone knows about our little tag team champions who turn up in the background sometimes, but they know everything about Horizon Zero Dawn, don't they?
They do. They know all the monsters, all the robots, and everything like that. They love the game, and they're the ones who are pressuring me to get Forbidden West. Even though I'd love to play Sifu because it's something different, but yeah, it looks like I'm going to be pressured, man. Peer pressure for these 5-year-old kids, man. It ain't a good thing.
Well, before we move on to our most anticipated games, obviously we asked the community, what are your most anticipated games? We got so many responses, so I'm just going to pick a few. Sorry if I missed you, but I really thank you for getting in contact. So all these are via Twitter. So we have the King in Black, Horizon Forbidden West, Forspoken, and that's all I care about. Elden Ring from Dariex, Elden Ring, God of War, Horizon, Starfield, Hogwarts Legacy, Big Night, God of War Ragnarok, Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, Dying Light 2, Sifu, Fabian, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Hogwarts Legacy, Gotham Knights, Suicide Squad, Prince. I said 5, not 10. Let's go with Shadow Brat, Horizon Forbidden West, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, Gotham Knights. He's got both of them in there. God of War Ragnarok, Elden Ring, Giuseppe, Elden Ring, Stalker 2, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West. Asim, how did we miss this? A Plague Tale Requiem.
No, that would be my number 6. Like that would be right there. That would be right there.
It was my number 7, so we were close.
That'd be right there. Yeah.
Drew, Breath of the Wild 2, God of War Ragnarok, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. What? Horizon Forbidden West, Mario and Rabbids, Sparks of Hope, and then
I'm
two
looking
more.
forward to that as well. Rabbids.
Let's pick here. 2 more. Os Winters, The Callisto Protocol, Martha is Dead, Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, Sons of the Forest, System Shock Remake. Somebody likes their horror games. And last but not least, Adam Batty, who we all know very well, sent his top 5 in. Number 5 is Sifu. Number 4 is Elden Ring. Number 3 is Starfield. Really? Number 2 is Gran Turismo 7. And number 1 is God of War. Now, you said really on Elden Ring, because I said the same thing. I was like, that's too hard for you. Why are you going to play Elden Ring? But, I mean, he loves the challenge. And I think he said, obviously, he mentioned to me that the open world is really intriguing to him. So he's excited to see it. Let's see how long he lasts in that game. Sorry, Ozzy. I gotta mention it, but I can't picture you clocking this game, mate. It might sound a bit, you know what I mean? But number 1s, Alex.
Number 1s.
I think mine and Asim have the same. So you go first, and then me and Asim will count down from 3 and say what our number 1 is.
All right. Well, my number 1 was actually Horizon Forbidden West, obviously. But obviously we've talked it to death, and it's coming out in a couple of months, so I don't need to say anything more, but I will slightly push something in there. And we've just mentioned it about Elden Ring. Elden Ring is one of the...
that a lot. You know
Elden Ring. I didn't give a shit the first time I heard about the Elden Ring. Didn't care. Yeah, and then they showed that that preview, about gameplay as well, and they delved into the story a little bit, and I was like, hold on. This is a game that you just can't overlook, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing exactly what this game's actually going to turn out to be. So that is my most anticipated game, next to Horizon Forbidden West, obviously. For
so you're cheating again. You're cheating again. That's what you're doing. You're putting 2 games.
Hey, we got to break rules. We got to break rules sometimes.
Just remember what I said. You don't play Elden Ring straight away, because they've already said that there will be a ray tracing update and a frame rate boost later after launch. So just wait to play that.
Which is perfect. Which So Horizon, I can squeeze in Sifu and then straight into Elden. That's all good.
No. But I mean, just before we move on, so if you were to pick, obviously you finished Horizon Zero Dawn now, so you've seen the state of play for Horizon Forbidden. What one thing excites you the most about Forbidden West compared to the original?
I guess the new mechs. Just to see exactly how it's going to be. I mean, they look massive now, don't they? I mean, there's like an elephant, that massive python, and the fact that you're able to scale buildings now, which I think was a feature which was missing heavily. And there's going to be a lot more climb points, and the fact that you can glide. So you ask for 1 point, there's loads. It's looking like it's going to be a lot more of a useful game, and I think it's building towards something which is going to be an epic trilogy. Because I think that when the inevitable Horizon 3 does come out, that game will just trump all, and they should have scaling and, the works. It should be a completely free roaming game. And that's what I'm looking forward to. So, but yeah, it's an amazing game. It is an amazing game. The guys at Guerrilla have done an amazing job. Really have. So anyway.
I think me and Asim are going to Jotunheim again, on this one. So what is it about God of War for you and me? But I mean, obviously, September 22nd is the leak from, a recent leak that happened this week from a Sony database that has it listed for September 22nd. It coincides with what I've heard from an insider who I trust, who said that they are looking at that Spider-Man-ish launch window for God of War, which is usually September time for Spider-Man when a game comes out for that one. So it makes sense.
That would make sense. Yeah, just like release it on full price just before the holiday period, and then go into price promotion during the holiday period. Well,
I think that's Starfield territory as well, isn't it? August, September time. So it'll be really, really interesting. But I mean, for me, again, the most important thing for me is the continuation of the story, to see where it goes. It got left on multiple cliffhangers, that first game did, whether it be, there's no spoilers here, guys, so don't worry. What happens at the end of the main game, or if you get the hidden ending, both of them, or if you kill all the Valkyries, you get 3 massive endings in that game. And I want to see what happens on all of them. Gameplay, I wouldn't care if this game didn't change anything. You know what I mean? Because everything about that first game, from a combat standpoint, from a level design, puzzles, everything was perfect for me. I don't care if it's an expansion. It still would be number one, but it's the story that cannot let me down. That's what I'm most scared about, because the first one had the hook of, yes, you had the journey, but it was more the story of Kratos and Atreus. That was it. But that's already been done now. So how do you top that the second time round? What about you?
I think it's the story is a big part of it. I think the first one, as you mentioned, is like, it's very hard to like say there's a perfect game out there, but this is nigh on, like, it's very close. Like, there's no bugs, there's no like gameplay issues. Everything works so nicely in tandem together. But yeah, the key part, like the main part for me, aside from everything else that's brilliant, is the story. How they continue the story that they told. The way it's like, obviously, it's thrust into Norse mythology, and how they used that for this story, and how they continue that on. I'm so excited to see how that continues and where the journey of these two characters takes them, and the other characters that are at play as well, like within the story, as Sonny. How that comes to fruition, like I just can't wait. I just can't wait. Basically, just can't wait to play as Kratos again, and maybe you get to play as Atreus as well. You never know. Let's see.
Yeah.
I'm very good. The only thing that tingles my balls is the thought of the Leviathan axe
Don't
with
need
the
to know
DualSense
that,
controller.
man.
You know what I mean?
Just feeling so you're going to be putting a DualSense controller on your balls.
No,
you're going to be putting this on your balls.
Just imagine.
You nutter.
Imagine you press the button.
Balls control.
Imagine you press the button to pull the axe back, and then you feel a light rumble in the pad, and it's curling to the right, and then it comes bigger and bigger and bigger, and it hits the pad. And I'm like, can't wait.
That'll be sick.
Cannot wait. But yeah, absolutely stunning choice. We can't wait for God of War. Shout out, and Asim will never put it in his top 5, but we are cautiously keeping an eye on eFootball and its updates throughout 2022.
Never going to be in any list.
It hasn't been officially announced yet. But when the new season update, which is eFootball 2023, hits, hopefully the game is in a better state, and we could be talking about it in a Game of the Year list instead of a most anticipated list or biggest disappointment list, right? Yes,
high hopes, man. High hopes.
You'll be in most disappointed again. Sorry.
I've got one question for you guys. I'm going to put you on the fly, right? Your dream anticipated announcement for 2022. So it could be a game for a future date or something that. So while you're thinking, for me, and I think Alex will join me on this, besides the Zelda release date, is an announcement of Tekken 8. I fucking need that game in my life.
If that came out, that would be Christmas all in one.
I just need the announcement. That's all I need. Just
Christmas
announce
birthday,
Tekken 8. That's all I want. Tekken 7 is done now. Yeah, it's got all the millions of people playing it. Screw it. Get Tekken 8 out. Come on. You know what I mean? But what would your dream announcement for 2022 be, Alex?
I would say, Tekken 8 would be a big one. But like I've already said it already, if they manage to keep to the schedule and have Breath of the Wild 2 coming out for 2022, that'll be it. That'd be great. And I'll be AWOL for so long. But anyway, that's me.
Said, your most anticipated dream announcement for 2022.
PES 2022, because it never got released, did it?
No.
Shot fired.
No, in seriousness, it's an obvious one. As a Metal Gear fan, it'll be something Metal Gear related. Even if it's not a remake, which I don't know, could happen, but just an updated collection to play on the newer consoles would be nice. So we can play them. It doesn't have to be a proper remake, just like remasters, just
with trophies.
And trophies as well, because the HD collection that was released on the PS3 was really good. So upgrade of that for the new consoles in like 4K 60 would be lovely.
Twin Snakes, if they released that on the PS5.
Shit game.
Shut up. You didn't even play it. Just hate it.
But yeah, I think that, or again, like staying on the Konami side, will be something to do with Silent Hill. But again, I don't think that's going to happen either next year. But keeping it more realistic, maybe something like Metal Gear, like a collection or something for the new consoles would be nice.
Nice.
Cool. Sweet. All right then, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. That's been our top 5 most anticipated, plus a couple of wild cards thrown in there for 2022. I don't really think that any of your games are going to make it into the top 5 or anything. I mean, obviously mine was the best. Obviously, Horizon Forbidden West is going to be up there. Breath of the Wild is going to be taken. Oh yeah, actually, yeah. Okay, just take a little quick shot at it. What's going to be winning Game of the Year for next year?
God of War Ragnarok.
God of War.
Yeah.
Sonic.
Oh my God, that's a fucking hell, bro. You know what? It's recency bias is a big thing, because if there was no such thing as recency bias, let's be honest, Hitman would have won Game of the Year for 2021. So I think with God of War hits September, God of War wins it, but it will be a toss-up between God of War and Breath of the Wild. It will be similar to the year of God of War Red Dead, where they cleaned up, or Last of Us and Hades that cleaned up. It'll be like that, where it'll just be those two games winning all the Game of the Year.
I think the only reason why God of War has the air, like, probably not the only reason, but the main reason for, like, when you think about the Game of the Awards, people and how they vote, is story as well as a big part of things. And while Breath of the Wild is more gameplay and versus story, whereas God of War is kind of a nice balance of everything. So I think when it comes to the Game Awards people and like the jury that votes for it, I think they'll take that. Unless Breath of the Wild, I could be wrong. Like, it might have an amazing story to it. You never know. But
shall I give you a hint? You know how you know Sony will win a Game of the Year award? They actually turn up to the Game Awards.
That's it.
They weren't in the crowd or anything for this last one, and they
don't wake up for unless it's an award.
Everything they had for the game. They were like, we're not bothered. We're not going to be there.
Yeah. Obviously, I'd love Breath of the Wild 2 to throw in there, but realistically, I think it's going to be a duel out for the greats. I mean, the sequels. It would be God of War versus Forbidden West. I think really games are really going to go for it, and it would be deservedly so. Gosh, that beer is definitely getting. But yeah, I'm going to put one of those two, and more leaning towards Horizon because I'm just biased, just because I'm playing it right now and it's freaking sick. But anyway, thanks, ladies and gentlemen, paying attention, for listening to us, and that's our most anticipated games. If you've got any more ideas or questions, please just let us know at the latest PS5. Via Twitter or the latest PS5@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear from you. So from myself, Sonny, and Asim, peace out.